social studies test, you have a little quiz on Monday. There's 15 terms, so there'll probably be about 15 questions. You have a B in this class right now. You need to rock this out to get yourself to an A. Okay, so let's focus in and do it. All right, Commodus. Here's the deal. If you get an A on this, I will get you 2 of those lightsabers from Five Below. Okay, not an A, 100%. I'm sorry, you got to get 100% for 2 lightsaber builder kits from Five Below. All right, so first term is Commodus. We read about Commodus. He was the 18-year-old Roman emperor. He started the decline of Rome. He was one that loved dressing up as gladiators. He was the guy that was in that movie. All right, Commodus. All right, he was responsible for the fall of Rome. Then we have gladiators. Gladiators are people that fight until they die. Usually they're slaves and criminals, and they fight in the Colosseum as entertainment for people. So that's what the movie The Gladiator was about. Then we have mercenaries. Mercenaries is an interesting term. They're foreign soldiers that fight for money. So they're not a part of the country that they're fighting for. So they're foreign soldiers that fight for money. Then we have inflation. Okay, inflation is a term in reference to the economic situation. So it means that they print more money. So more money physically gets printed, but the money ends up having less value because if there's more coins, that means they have to equal less. Okay, so if you want to have 100 pounds of gold and you have 100 pieces of paper that represent 100 pounds of gold, still equals 100 pounds of gold. 100 paper equals 100 pounds of gold. So that one paper would be 1/100th of that gold. But if you print 200 papers, you still have 100 pounds of gold. So now the papers lose their value. So now your paper is only worth half of what it was previously because the gold stays the same. You just increase the paper. Okay, so that's what inflation is. All right, Diocletian. Diocletian was a Roman emperor that worked to strengthen Rome. He enlarged the army, he built new forts, and improved the tax system. So he was hope for Rome. So he enlarged the army, made it bigger. He built new forts, so really upped the defense of Rome, and then improved the tax system. Political corruption. So we're going to go through several reasons for the decline of Rome. If you look, we have political corruption is a reason for the decline of Rome. Excessive military spending. So spending too much money on your military is a decline for Rome. A rise in Christianity. So the changing belief system was a decline for Rome, and the decline of morals and values. So as the society lost their morals and their values, became less good people, that led to the decline of Rome. I have a feeling she might be like, hey, identify 3 reasons Rome failed. So you would say corruption, excessive military spending, rise in Christianity, or decline of morals and values. So let's take a look, though, and see what these mean. So political corruption. Rome didn't have a system for electing new officials. So they didn't have a voting in system like we did, and many of them ended up being assassinated. So the politicians were corrupt. We saw that in our movie with Commodus. Commodus spent money with the Senate. They were just absolutely corrupt, and it ended up being the downfall of Rome. Excessive military spending. So Rome spent a lot of money on mercenary armies because the men were unwilling to fight. So the people of Rome didn't want to fight anymore because they had enough money to buy people to fight. Well, if you have people that aren't from your area, they're not going to fight for you the way that the people from the area are going to fight. So they ended up spending a lot of money on military. When you spend too much money on military, that means other things like education, healthcare, roads, and stuff like that go wayside. So that can lead to the fall of a society. Then we have a rise in Christianity. So the Christian faith ends up spreading, and then they end up spending a lot of money building churches, monasteries. And what they do is they shifted away from the housing and the public roads, different things like that. So spending too much money on Christian stuff and spending too much money on military stuff took away from some of the other things that needed money as well. And then decline of morals and values. Romans' most popular form of entertainment was gladiator fighting, and this led to an increase in violence on the streets, and crime increased. So anytime there's an increase of violence that people enjoy seeing people get beat up, it's going to cause problems. It's going to cause people beating up other people. So the decline of morals and values in which people didn't value each other's lives, that led to the fall of Rome as well. Then you have Constantine. So Constantine was an emperor of Rome, and he actually encouraged Christianity. So that was the new way of thinking. So Constantine encouraged Christianity. Then we have Licenese. He was a co-emperor. He actually ruled with Constantine, and he actually practiced persecution. So I'm not really sure what role he plays in here, but you just need to know that he was a co-ruler with Constantine, and then something about practicing persecution will probably show up. So Licenese. So Constantine, Licenese, they're people. Then you have the Byzantium. Okay, Byzantium is a city in the Roman Empire. It's actually present-day Istanbul, Turkey. That was where Constantine made the new capital, was in Byzantium. So they ended up changing the Byzantium to Constantinople. So Constantinople was once the city of Byzantium, and they renamed it by Constantine when it became the new capital of Rome. This is going to be hard for you because you're like me. You have a tough time with names. So you really want to make sure you understand what all the names are. That's the hardest part. You understand all of these principles. You understand all these philosophies. You're a smart kid, but being able to differentiate between the names, that's where you really need to focus on your studying right now. Then we have last two ones. Germanic tribes. These were invaders that overwhelmed the empire attack and Rome's borders. So they invaded Rome. And then you have barbarians, which were Germanic tribes known by the Romans, and they were considered wild, uncivilized people. Okay, so the barbarians were Germanic tribes. All right, so let's go through the names again, okay, because this is a big deal. Commodus, that's a name. Commodus was the young Roman emperor. He starts the decline. He spends too much money with his gladiators and the entertainment, and that starts your decline of Rome. So Commodus. Then you have Diocletian. He's a Roman emperor. He was the guy that was all into the military. He was the military guy. He enlarged the army, built new forts. Okay, so Diocletian. So Commodus, then Diocletian. Then you have Constantine, and Constantine is the emperor of Rome that encouraged Christianity, which is pretty much what's the final nail in the coffin of the fall of Rome. And then Licenese rules with Constantine. So there's 4 people you need to know. Commodus, Diocletian, Constantine, and Licenese. They're the people you need to know. The cities you need to know are Byzantium. That's what it used to be called. Then they turned it into Constantinople. So those are your 2 cities. All right, bud. Think this will be an easy test for you if you can get those names down. Again, you get 100% on this test. Boom. Taking you to 5 below, and you're getting 2, count them, 2 of those buildable lightsabers. All right? Good luck, bud.